Hello everyone, it's Brett here, Lionheart 84. Slightly different walk today. Thought I might as well video a couple of bits of it. I've actually taken, rather than walking from home, I've taken the underground train about 10 minutes to a place called Leighton, and I'm going to walk from here to the Olympic Park, and in the distance there you might see, I think it's the velodrome, so I'm planning to video a few of the buildings that were built especially for the sporting events for the London Olympics when they were held here. So I just thought might be of interest to people. Anyway, we'll start the walk out. Not particularly exciting place here, but I should find something interesting to see on the way. Now I've just stopped here quickly on the way to the Olympic Park because I knew there was a citrus here that's been growing outside for years. But unfortunately, I've seen this with large yellow fruits on. I think it might be some kind of Bangladeshi citrus. So it looks like sort of a knobbly grapefruit, but as you can see, this one has suffered serious damage this winter. Unfortunately, unlike some of the ones in central London that got off scot-free. It's got one fruit on it. Tiny little fruit, you can see how knobbly it is, but unfortunately the trees suffered serious cold damage, but it looks like it'll recover, but that's an indication of how cold it was here. And I can see it's got secondary petioles on the leaves, so it does look like one of those Bangladeshi fruits or a pomelo, but that one's not been featured in any of the videos that I'm aware of that people feature for London citrus. That's the only one I know of around here, but unfortunately, as I said, it's been seriously damaged. So just one of those things when we get these extreme cold spells we've had. Anyway, back to the walking. I'm going to shut the camera down now till we get to the Olympic Park. Just walking through the first part of the park here. Have some interesting constructions which I think might be for stunt bicycles. Some interesting style ideas they have here. I don't think mowing this grass be much fun with all these bumps and mounds, but I'm fairly sure that all these things here are for riding on bicycles, because you've got these sort of up and down slopes here. And those ones there as well, they're not for people to walk on, so I'm fairly sure they're intended for people to enjoy themselves on bikes, possibly skateboards. This is a small park on the edge of Leighton. I'm not in the main Olympic Park yet. Obviously when I get to the main Olympic Park I'll start filming and try and show some of the venues for anyone interested. So I don't exactly know which route I'm walking today, because I'm not used to walking around the Olympic Park, so it's going to be a bit of trial and error. Now, for anyone interested, if you don't know, if you're not from London or the UK, obviously the London Olympics were held here in 2012, and this large area, which is near Stratford in London, was designated, it was an industrial area and also what they call a brownfield site. So there were no housing developments or sports venues here, but because it was such a large area that wasn't being used for anything, it was decided it would be perfect for developing the venues for the Olympic Park, or the main venue. So I'm currently walking towards the velodrome here. They call it the Lee Valley Velo Centre, I think. Obviously it's where they do the indoor bicycle racing, and it's noted for its unusual sort of I suppose you'd call it almost a banana or boat shape, I guess. I haven't been inside it, but I've seen races there on television. It looks very interesting. And basically they cleared the whole site for the Olympics and built the Olympic Stadium, the velodrome, the aqua centre. I think they call it the copper pot, is it? Or copper bowl, where they do all the indoor games like netball and basketball. But it's the first time I've really sort of walked around the Olympic Park, which covers a very substantial area, and there are canals here as well. So my plan is to just walk like this and start the camera. I want to get something interesting There are various bicycle tracks around here for cyclists who wish to cycle outside safely at speed, and I think they've got rough circuits as well for sort of the BMX biking, the off-road stuff. And obviously you can see this there's a bank circuit here outside as well for them to do fast laps, so plenty of options. And you can, I think that's where they did where we're approaching now, I believe, is where they did the BMX racing. You can see all those sort of bumpy those sort of bumps and slopes and things where you can come and enjoy your mountain biking if you wish to have a go. I presume anybody can come here. Whether or not you have to book or pay, I wouldn't know, but great fun if you've got a BMX bike, no doubt. So I'll just pause it here, come back when I get a bit close to the venue. As you can see, it's quite an impressive piece of construction. I remember hearing somewhere about the number of strips of wood they installed on it, but I can't remember what they are. You'll have to look it up online if you want some irreverent facts about the wood used. But needless to say, it's a fair old bit of installation. Amazing shape. Well worth having a walk around here to see what's available. Just thought I'd show it quickly. This is the layout of the centre. So you've got a hockey and tennis centre down here. This is the velodrome I've just walked past, and I'm here. And you can see there's a canal or a river that runs through the park, and the Copper Box Arena is up here, the London Stadium, and the London Aquatic Centres there. So I will walk past some of them in the course of this walk. Here's a view from the side of the velodrome, so you can see the unusual curvature of the roof. It's quite like it's almost like a boat shape from the side. I dread to think what these places cost to build. Again, I guess that can be looked up online for anyone that's interested. Just show that slowly for a few seconds for anybody who wants to read it. You can pause it if you want. These are the Olympic rings in the park. I should imagine there's more than one set. As you can see, it's a glorious day, and there's plenty of people out enjoying the weather, having a walk today with their children and dogs, cycling. It's nicely landscaped, this park. Which is why it's a popular place for people to live. It's very easy access to London. The transport links are fantastic here as well. And they've made the most of natural waterways as well. I think this might be the River Lee. I'll have to check up on that later, and I'll put on the video if it's the correct name or not. There's also a canal on the other side of the park, which I'll get to a little bit later. Pause the video now, carry on in a minute. So this is the Copper Box Arena here. Looks like they've got some kind of events going on, judging by the queues. It's where they would have held the basketball, netball, volleyball games like that during the Olympics. That's obviously still in regular use. Not the most inspiring building architecturally wise, I'm going to guess that cladding might be copper, which is probably why it's the copper box, but of course it's not shiny copper, it's dark copper. But I can see the green streaks on it, so that would suggest that it is copper cladding. Never been inside it, but no doubt I will do one day. Okay, on with the walk. Well, hopefully you can see I'm now approaching the Olympic Stadium. Welcome to the stadium at the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park. Now this of course was used for, this had the athletics track in. Just a quick detour, just have a look at the waterways here that flow through the park. Yeah, this had the athletics track in and the field events, and it's now the home stadium for West Ham United Football Club. They have their home games here. They used to have a stadium actually at West Ham, but it was too small and run down to carry on using it, so they bid for and were successful in having the use of this as their home stadium. Apparently not everybody likes it because they sit quite a long way from the football field, because the track runs around the football field, the running track. But I have been there and it's a nice stadium, and also watched Olympic events here as well. So it is getting continuous usage, I'm pleased to say. It's quite a substantial venue, and in a minute I'll restart the video to feature an interesting sculpture that's here. Thought I'd restart the video again because this is something interesting here which I've hadn't noticed before, which is a very substantial bell. Impressive sculpture. So I'll carry on with the video just for the minute as I walk around the stadium, because we're approaching an interesting structure here which is known as the Middle Orbit. Now this construction was designed, the sculpture was designed I think by Anish Kapoor is the name of the architect. There was someone else involved whose name escapes me at the moment. I don't know if it's open at the moment, but certainly it is open to the public at various times, and you can go up to the observation platform by lift or stairs. Can't see anybody there at the moment, so maybe it's not open at this time of the year. And then that sort of spiral, if you can see that spiral on the left hand side where the tower is, there's actually like a helter-skelter slide, and I believe, provided health and safety have got it open, that you can slide down the slide as part of the entry fee. But it does look as if it's not open at the moment. Maybe they've got some maintenance issues, or maybe it's just not open in winter because it's not busy enough, I don't know. But certainly an interesting sculpture or structure. Now a final venue that I'm just passing by today before I head down to the canal to continue my walk is the water park venue, Aquadome or whatever they call it. I forget what they call it now. Now unfortunately you can't see from here because you need to view from high up to look down, but actually it's sort of sculpted from the top in the shape of a giant stingray, and it has various pool facilities in it, including obviously Olympic sized swimming pool and various diving pools for the various events. So I can't do it justice from looking down at this level, unfortunately. But nevertheless, it's quite an impressive venue. It's another one I haven't been inside, the water park. But I've seen it featured in lots of events, so it's certainly very interesting. I'll get a little bit closer before I head off in the other direction. Keep your eyes peeled around here because there's lots of cyclists around. North American theme garden, nothing in flower this time of the year. Anyway, that's the swimming venue. If I get a little bit closer. Should be able to give you a better view of the middle orbit. Definitely fenced off at the moment, so definitely not open to the public at present. I'd like to go up there when it's open again. Anyway, on with the walk. Just a quick view. I think you can get a better idea of the size here, standing underneath it. Definitely closed at the moment. Looks like they're doing some refitting in the offices at the bottom, but I'm sure it'll be open again by spring or early summer. Yeah, all fenced off at the moment. Some lovely silver birch trees planted along the river side here, or water side. And hopefully in a minute I'm going to hit the main canal, which goes down towards the River Thames if I can find my way there, and I'm going to walk towards the river for an hour. Might have to come back by train later because it'll be a very long way to walk back, but we'll see how we go. Better view of the stadium from this side. You can see the queuing gates there for when people are approaching. There's one of the waterways, but that's not actually the canal I want. I think the canal's right over the back, so I'll head over that way in a minute. See if I can find my way across to the main canal that I'm looking for. Come back to you in the next part of the video. Just continuing my walk, and out of interest, that's the ABBA Arena there for anyone interested. That's where the live ABBA shows in London are based at the moment. Been to see the show, very good. Well worth a visit. So I've reached the Lee River navigation now, which heads down towards the Thames. You can see some people moor their houseboats here. It's much cheaper than living in apartments or houses in London if you can afford to get a little boat and find somewhere to moor it. Biggest problem now is apparently it's getting very hard to find anywhere to moor these boats. Not sure if there'll be much of interest to see as we walk along the river, but I will keep an eye out for any fish or anything, and I'm going to be walking in that direction which goes down towards the River Thames. I'm amazed by the developments along here. Last time I came along here on a bicycle, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, none of these waterside apartments were even here. You can see the traditional canal boats, or long boats parked along here, or moored along here I should say. But I hadn't even seen these apartments when I last came here. Just amazing the amount of development that's going on in parts of London even now. Nice balconies to sit out and have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine, I guess, and have a look at the water. Unfortunately, there's a lot of construction going on the other side, so it's not particularly attractive view at the moment, but at least you can look out at the canal boats. One down here's actually got his engine running. Perhaps he's planning to move somewhere else. It might just be probably just a generator running, generating power. So I've now reached the historic Three Mills Island in the studios, which I cycle past loads of times but not walk past. This is a lovely historic building here, which of course originally comprised of mills, flour mills. This part of the river is tidal here. Wonderful buildings. Now I believe the tide's fully in at the moment. You can see the water running under there when the tide's out. Now I believe that these are television studios as well, and I think, for anybody familiar with British television or the programmes, that this is where they film MasterChef. I could be wrong on that, but I'm sure that MasterChef is filmed at Three Mills. I'll be walking this way down to the Thames, down towards the Thames, but it's actually quite nice when the tide's out because you can see the water flowing underneath and all the mud properly, but the tide's right up at the moment. I don't know, it's normally quite quick to cycle down to the Thames, but I suspect it's going to take a lot longer to get down there walking. But obviously there was a time when they'd have used boats to bring products up here, including obviously grain, so that they could it could be milled here for to make flour. But as I said, I believe part of it's used as television studios now. Anyway, I'm going to carry on the walk towards the river. See anything of interest, obviously I'll stop and take a video, catch up with you in the next part. Walking underneath a substantial engineered railway bridge here. You can see the ironwork, the amount of rivets that they used to construct it. Lovely piece of engineering. And all the way along here there are boats moored the whole way. And a nice lifestyle, I guess, once you get used to the somewhat limited facilities. And again, you can see there it's very popular to build blocks of apartments along the waterside here. It's quite a nice atmospheric place for people to live. Most of the boats along here are some, I don't know if they're called long boats or narrow boats or just canal boats. They have different names depending, I guess, on where you're from. But it's quite interesting because occasionally you come across something completely different, like this one.
Are they from like?
Which has a mast of some sort. I believe this might be some kind of Dutch. I think this is some kind of Dutch barge. Certainly looks like sounds like a Dutch name on it. Probably not owned by a Dutch person anymore. It just goes to show you can also have a garden, should you so wish, or partial garden on your boat. Probably don't want anything that needs too much water. crossing over here what they call the lee navigation and the tidal part of the river here. And because the river on the left is completely tidal and the water drains away, to get access to that they've got these locks here should you wish to get from the river into the part that's actually navigable, which is to the right, and the water level stays maintained the same on the right hand side, obviously, because this is the part that the canal boats use and to navigate down to the River Thames. This one is actually called, which you'll see in a minute, this one is actually known as Bow Lock. And the locks are kept in navigable condition. That's a substantial boat, that one. Look at the width of it. Plenty of room in there. Looks to me like they've got plenty of wood to burn as well. Not sure if you're meant to be burning wood in the middle of London, but I guess who's going to come and check on a canal boat? So I shall stop the video for now. Carry on when I get nearer to the river. River Thames, that is. Some hardy enthusiasts today doing some canoeing. It's not cold, it's quite mild. You wouldn't want to fall in the river though. Hi! Making the most of a sunny Sunday. Hope they didn't mind being videoed for my YouTube channel. Make them famous. Quite a long underpass, this one. I have to keep an eye out here because it's very narrow and cyclists can come charging along, and particularly when I have the camera knocked out of my hand, and joggers as well. There's a cyclist coming behind me now, so I'll keep well to the left. At least you can hear him coming on this noisy surface without any problems. I'm nearly back on the wide part of the towpath now. Because there was a time when canal boats didn't have engines and they used to tow them with horses along here. It's a lovely old looking boat. Anyway, time to pause the video, back to walking. The almost obligatory swans on our waterway. This one's probably a couple, I would say, or these ones are a couple. Normally mate as pairs for life. Can't tell from looking if they're male or female, but I would think it's likely it's a couple. There's either a coot or a moorhen. I can't remember which one has the white face, the white panel on the face. I think it might be a coot, but I'll have to look that up later. I've got some, I believe, well, these are a goose of some sort, not a Canada goose. Can't remember what that particular breed is, but obviously someone watching who's an expert on geese will tell me. Can't remember what they're called. It's quite wide here, the navigation. But you still don't see many boats moving, although there's one up ahead which we will film when I get to it. See you in a minute. Well, as you can see, it's a very peaceful life, and here's a boat pottering along slowly on his way to wherever, to more. It's not a good idea if you're in a rush to get anywhere to use one of these, because they're only going at 1 or 2 knots or miles per hour. Lovely. Lady drivers, that's a bit worrying. For whatever reason, this little piece here is called the Limehouse Cut. It's a small section where they cut a section of the river away, so they could moor 3 or 4 canal boats in here. I would imagine there'll be permanent moorings that you have to pay for, but I don't know for sure. Particularly useful, I guess, if you happen to have an apartment here next to it. But I would guess you'd call that prime mooring place. And a slight detour for a few seconds for me to walk round it, because you can't walk across it. Lots of seagulls here as I'm getting near to the main river. Anyway, pause it again, back with you in a short while. Got some noisy coots and moorhens again. They can get quite territorial and chase each other sometimes. They don't like to be they don't like to be in each other's water area. They're really chasing each other, those two. And that's those are Canada geese down there. Those ones I do know. But yes, I don't like sharing space, these moorhens and coots. So I'm now approaching what's known, for some of people not familiar with London, this is called the Limehouse Basin. It's been here for a long time. A couple of cyclists coming, so I'm going to move over, give them space to get past. Cheating, he's got an electric bike. Now, Limehouse Basin is connected to the River Thames by a lock, basically. And this is a sort of marina, small harbour, if you like. It's been here for many, many years. Which provides permanent mooring for a substantial number of boats, which you'll see when we get around the corner. Well, hello Dolly. You can see how substantial some of these boats are. They barely fit in the locks, some of these wide ones, but they would be as big as an apartment inside. We're approaching the main what they call Limehouse Basin now. They do have boat shows with boats put on here at times, and as you'll see, there's some quite substantial boats. Moored in here. Someone growing a few herbs and vegetables on their boat. As you can see, this is quite a substantial size marina. Very popular, valuable apartments around here with a view. View over the water and the boats. A place where people really enjoy living, I would imagine. It won't be cheap around here. Not sure what the average apartment price is, but I'd hazard a guess 2-bedroom apartments probably around, I'm probably out of touch, but I'm going to guess a 2-bedroom apartment £600,000 or £700,000, potentially even more. Penthouses or large balconies would be way dearer. I don't know what it costs to moor a boat here permanently, but certainly a popular place to keep your boat. I'm going to walk around the other side, and then on the other side there's a canal, and I'm planning to walk up the other canal back towards Stratford. So there's no interesting plants to show, but at least you're getting a view of some of the parts of London that you might never see if you didn't live around here, because they don't appear in any films. In fact, I'll just walk down to the front, which is where the River Thames is. And I'll keep the video running for that bit so you can see where it joins. There's a very substantial lock here for boats that want to come in and out of the marina. I don't know how many times a day it's used, but of course the Thames is tidal, so they have to have the lock here, otherwise the water would flow in and out of the marina and all the water would run out of the canal and the river, which wouldn't be a lot of use to anybody. We're nearly at the River Thames now. And you can see how high the water level is today, as we saw in the River Lee earlier. And when I go up the canal, walk back up the canal, that will be the Regent's Park Canal, I believe. And there, for anyone interested, is the River Thames. Now I'm going to head back in a minute and walk up the canal if I can manage it without exhausting myself. And there is a pub called Bread Street, which is one of the Gordon Ramsay places. One of his chain of pubs and restaurants. I'm dread seeing what the prices are. Right, stop the video, cross the road without getting run over, I hope, and get back onto the Limehouse Basin. Well, we can see how touch I am now, or not as the case may be. 3-bedroom penthouse apartment, 1.1 million. 2 bedrooms with a balcony, 525,000. But of course some of these are not in 3-bedroom penthouse, 1.1 million. There's a 1-bedroom with a view of the River Thames, 500,000. 2-bedroom flat, 600,000. So I wasn't too far off my estimates. 1 double bedroom with a view of the Limehouse Basin, 500,000. 3-bedroom penthouse, 1 million. So it looks like you need 500,000 or 600,000 if you want to live here. A bargain, no doubt, if you've got the money. Lots of boats here. This used to be empty, this section here, because people used to do fishing, but now it looks to me like the marina is completely full. Used to be able to look down here and see fish, but I suspect that they will be very deep in the water at this time of year when the water's cold, so unfortunately we can't see any. Anyway, on with the walk. I'm just about to leave the Limehouse Basin now, and I'm now about to start the front. I've walked down what was known as the Lee Navigation, and I'm going to walk back along what's known as the Regent's Canal. Now we're right on the east side of London. From here, if you walked far enough, the Regent's Canal goes all the way across to Regent's Park and then past it, so you could walk all the way to the west side of London from here if you're feeling fit enough. Now I've cycled it before, it's probably about 11 or 12 miles, but I certainly won't be walking it. I'll be walking along here until I get back to near Hackney or Stratford, and from there I'll get the train home. But this will be a bit busy down here. Wait until people have gone past. There's some quite narrow bridges down here. Of course, if you're on a bicycle, it's even more tricky because you bash your head if you're not careful. Which is why I'm probably glad I'm walking today. Move out of the way so the cyclists can get past. So this is the start of the Regent's Canal. And again, should there be anything interesting along here plant-wise, I haven't seen any interesting plants at all since the citrus at the start of the walk. If I see any interesting parts, obviously I'll stop and take a video of them. One notable thing about the Regent's Canal is because of the changing levels in London, there are actually quite a few locks, more so than on the Lee navigation. And these are probably, well, if you think about it, these are probably one of the oldest parts of London where the canal ran through for transporting goods in the old days before we had roads and rail. It was a very effective way of cutting through the centre of London if you wanted to transport stuff on a boat. And as you can see, very popular for walking, jogging and cycling. Popular with the birds as well. It's a nice relaxing place for them to stop. Right, on with the walk. Now that one's the other type of water bird. One's the coot and one's the moorhen. Can't remember which one that is now, but they've got the red flash on the face above the beak instead of the white flash. The ones with the white flash seems to be much more common along here. You don't see many of the ones with the red. More swans. Certainly plenty of them out enjoying the weather today. Dipping down for their food, no doubt. A lot more people walking along the Regent's Canal. And just very interestingly, there's a fan palm there. And that is, I think that's Phoenix canariensis over there, probably in a very sheltered position behind that building. Doesn't look like it's taken any frost damage at all. Canary Island date palm, I believe. Okay, on with the walk. So for anyone interested, the lock gates are never actually completely water resistant or waterproof. They do leak slightly, but actually they're intended to leak slightly because it helps regulate the height of the water, because you don't want it flying over the top of the lock gates. So they do leak. They're basically held in place partly by counterweights and partly by the water pressure against them, but of course the flow of the water here is non-existent because it's a canal, but just the weight of the water helps hold them in place. I'm just going past a nice park now. Not sure what this park's called. That was the Mile End Lock I just went past there.
I guess I was always lucky that.
Yeah. Something interesting to look at in a minute, so I should just pause the video temporarily. So this is quite an interesting little place. This has been used for some kind of research purposes, but I can't remember what they were using it for. But very popular with the water life, obviously. But they were doing some kind of preservation here, I think. Experimentation with the water. It's a good nesting area for the birds as well. Don't think it's being used anymore for the purpose it was. It's nice and peaceful for the birds around here anyway. Here I planted some olive trees. No fruits on them this time of the year. They seem to be in good health anyway. back to my walk. This is one of those popular walls for official graffiti. Pretty artistic, really. Every type of art has its appreciators.
Yeah, I like being...
Yeah, fascinating. And no, it's not a living horse, that one. On with the walk. So I've got to the part now where the Hertford Union Canal joins the Regent's Canal. That's the Regent's Canal there, where they have that large turning point. If you're carrying up there, you arrive at Islington. And down here, that's the Hertford Union Canal, and that direction that heads towards an area of London called Hackney. And just up here there's a park called Victoria Park, which I'm going to walk through part of the park today and then rejoin the canal further along, just for something different to do. Well, this is Victoria Park. I must admit I wasn't expecting to walk this far today or in this direction, but I have. This park is quite a substantial park in the Hackney area. Obviously at this end has a very substantial lake, which is massively popular with all sorts of water birds. And these interesting sculptures as well. And have a popular cafe here, which I'm certainly not going to be doing any queuing to get any coffees or teas today. I shall go without. Extremely popular in this area with people who want to enjoy the park facilities. You get a nice wide range of water birds here for bird watchers. Swimming at a fair old pace, really going for it. Don't know what sort of ducks they are, I don't recognise them at all.
Have you met many of
No doubt the bird experts will be able to tell me. Anyway, on with the walk. You can probably see from the stadium over there that I've now virtually completed a complete loop of where I was walking. I haven't looked at the phone to see how many kilometres I've done. I'll report that later before I get home. I'm going to guess about 13 or 14 kilometres. So probably about 8 or 9 miles. We'll have a look and see. I should be re-entering the Stratford Park in a minute and heading back towards Westfield, where I will get the train back. More people on their little some river boating today on their little inflatable type canoes or paddle boards. Not ideal if you fall in, I've got to say. It wouldn't be very pleasant. Certainly lots of graffiti around here. I'm very close to re-entering the Olympic Park here, so just a short walk back to the station, at which point go home and have a rest, because I've got to say my legs are seriously aching today. I think I walked a lot further than I expected to. I don't know whether to stop and get any refreshments or not. have a look and see what sort of food they do. Oh, so I've just stopped to have a bit of refreshment here. A bar moored on the waterside called Barge East. According to my pedometer and my aching legs, I've done 14 kilometres, which is about 9 miles. I've got a little bit further to go to get back to the station, but frankly I'm exhausted now. No more interesting plants to show, unfortunately, but I've got to stop for an unhealthy cider to refresh myself and recharge my batteries, as I've probably used a load of sugars up today. Feeling okay, but it's a decent walk at least. And I might be signing out now, but I might do the last few seconds when I'm nearly getting home and do a final report on the distance, which I'm guessing will be about 15 kilometres in total. I haven't had anything to eat, so I should be hungry when I get home. I shall get on with my drinking now. Phew, well, just the last few metres now. According to my pedometer on the phone, I've done 16.5 kilometres, about 10.5 miles, which my feet and joints are definitely agreeing with. I'm looking forward to a good sit down now and a cup of coffee and a sandwich. So thanks for joining me for the walk. I hope there are a couple of bits interested for you, and I'll see you in the next gardening video, and if not, in the next walk. Catch up with you in the next video.